Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight I welcome you to the Cerulean Sphere, where I will be talking with our wizard, Setna of Knemet, and Ammon Dunkin about matters theosophical and arcane. And I welcome you to join us. So, greetings, Setna. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great here in the merry old land of Oz.
Be careful with the flying monkeys. They cause problems.
Oh, that's okay, You just have to know how to deal with them. They like chocolate chip cookies.
Uh, that chant repel flying monkeys.
Who knew?
Oh, yeah, and make sure they're Mrs. Fields, though.
Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, as you both know, I'll be 67 on my next birthday coming up. So I'm basically in the winter of my years, and I'm trying to figure out my legacy and what I want to do with all these things I'm doing and all the information I've gathered and so on and so forth. So I'm starting to weave all the different things together because they're all connected, but you're connected. So I figure I'd start here with friends.
I'm already 67. I'll be 68 in September, so haha.
So one of the things I wanted to do was to see how you guys like the name Theosophia Divine Studies or Theosophia Divine Insights.
It sounds beautiful. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a great drag name, too, Sophia Divine.
That's the name of the group that meets in my home once a month. Oh, somebody's here. I guess Michael Del Russi. So let him in. So we're
One is here.
That umbrella rather than a bunch of different umbrellas. Greetings, Michael. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing great. We just started, and I just asked a question. How would people feel if changed the name of what we're doing to Theosophia, which is Greek word for theosophy, and I think called it Divine Studies. And one of my friends, who's a Mason, made a wonderful badge for it, which has Hercules' the mythic Hercules' muscles, and it says Theosophia Divine Studies on it. So does that sound like a good name to you?
I like that, yes, definitely.
And how about you, Ammon?
Yes, I really like it. I think it's wonderful. I've always loved that word theosophia from the very beginning of my theosophical studies, reading first the Key to Theosophy. They talk about the word actually in the Key to Theosophy by Blavatsky, what that word means, theosophia, the divine wisdom. But I like all three of them together, theosophia, divine studies. I think that's excellent.
Okay, awesome. So that is what we'll be from this point on. It sounds less mysterious than the cerulean sphere. But
oh, wait, Hercules, one thing.
Sure.
In honor of the cerulean sphere, I did buy a bigger lapis.
Oh, awesome.
But I loved it so much. And I wanted to tell Michael Waterman there that I don't know if you guys can see this when I show it on the screen, but supposedly truthfully, the lapis was a sign of royalty in the ancient Egyptian times. And it's funny. It's funny. I purchased this in Prescott at a rock shop, actually a metaphysical bookstore / rock shop in Prescott. And it's funny, when I brought it home, I was looking at it and I was exploring it, and on the top of it, there's like a little. It has rings. I don't know if you can see the rings. They're like these,
of course,
the blue ring. But on the top, I was just blown away because I don't know if you can see it, but on the top, as I rotate it, it looks like there's a blue design, like a splotch, a blue design that looks like a scarab or a beetle.
Wow.
It
I don't
kind of
know.
does. Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
Kind of, doesn't it? A little bit.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
the
blown away by
scarab is
it.
a symbol of, eternal renewal of self. of the god
Mhm.
Kefra, and also the symbol of the god Ptah, who is the divine creator. So that's perfect for you, Michael. You've got very creative energy. And isn't it funny?
Wonderful.
Today, Hercules is in the minority. We've got Michael Del Russi, Reverend Michael Duncan, and Michael Waterman. So we've got a lot of Michaels.
Yes, well, the blue sphere, the cerulean sphere in neo-theosophy, or the first cosmic rays, it's sometimes called, is where the Archangel Michael has been assigned in that schema.
Yes,
So
yes.
the universe told me it would get me plenty of Michaels to help with this work. And so you are three of my Michaels. So you represent Michael. And we've already touched upon in a couple of our conversations what that means to each of us. And we will return to that because I want to make you guys into the order of Michael the Archangel.
Makes
Woohoo.
sense. That's who I'm
I-
named after.
I'm
I
on.
brought one of my cobalt
Mm.
pieces, which of course is going to radiate bright blues and bring very powerful healing energy and masculine energy to this group, which we need, which we have.
And that brings up another topic I want to touch on today, hopefully, is if we can have something that we do simultaneously, albeit differently, each to our own inclinations, maybe with addressing prayers. I know Michael Del Russi takes prayers. I know that Setna takes prayers. And I'm sure, Ammon, that you also
Yes,
take care of prayers. So
yes.
I wanted to discuss that a little bit today or in our next conversation. Today, I also wanted to talk about uh, the knowledge that comes under the umbrella of new thought, or the law of attraction, as it's sometimes called, or manifestation, as it's sometimes called. And I wanted to see how universal a belief in our threesome or foursome that it particularly is. I've had conversations with each of you and with Michael Del Russi in particular about this. So I figured we could talk about that today as well. Since if I'm structuring things into a structure, we need to have these are things that we agree on and we're moving forward with. These are things we see it differently, but we're moving forward with. And these are the things you can do and we'll move forward right away. And
Sounds good to me.
I'm a little fuzzy
Yes.
today in my mind, so bear with me. So
Well, it's Sunday, you're allowed.
thank you. So I guess we'll start with Sedna. You use the term manifestation a lot. You talk about how you manifested your home in Savannah and
Yes,
you manifested other things. What do you believe about manifestation?
it is the deep concentration of using the energies around you and taking your own will force, I'll call it, and thinking about what you are focusing your energies on. So that, for instance, about this time last year, I was going to move here, but I had to learn in, I guess, November. I had less than 2 months to move. And I said, where am I going? And my spirit guide said, Savannah, Georgia. And I said, okay, what do I do now? Someone mentioned the marketplace on Facebook. I've never done those kind of things. And I said, okay, Facebook, show me what I need. And all of a sudden, there was a spot in Savannah called the Fountains, which I live in. And the price was right. It was exactly where I needed to be. And this apartment is, forgive me, palatial. If you had the same apartment in Manhattan, I have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a very large kitchen, a very large dining room, living room area, and a gigantic garage. I can put 3 cars in my garage. I also have access to a swimming pool, a huge barbecue area, a weight room,
Wow.
media room, and I also have a place where I can hold meetings, which is amazing. And all that for a very, very inexpensive apartment. And this was exactly precisely what I wanted. And I didn't have the money to move. And all of a sudden, my brother and sister paid me back a great deal of money. And so everything I needed was there for me because I said, to quote the goddess Hecate, I can and I will. And I put my will to work and I said, you know what? I'm not going to fail. This is what's going to happen. And it did, and it has. And it happens every month when I need extra funding, let's say if I'm in trouble or something. The gods provide because I believe I can accept that will, the universal will, into myself and then create in my mind what I need. And it happens every single time. But you have to believe. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in that will, you're closing a door. So I'm going to tell everybody quite bluntly, as a Brooklynite, stop that. You have to believe. You absolutely must believe you can. And then you can, and you will.
Thank you very much. That was very eloquently and powerfully put.
Thank you.
Ammon, how about you? What are your thoughts on abundance, on manifestation, on new thought teachings?
Well, my early theosophical teachings, the early theosophical teachings that I read and I studied and I tried to embody, were a lot of that study revolved around raising my vibration, raising my thoughts to higher vibrations, my physical body, purifying it, refining it, raising the vibration of my physical body, and also emotions. Not rooting out or killing the emotions, but refining the emotions so that they could, I could use them in a positive way, or I could manifest or let flourish higher emotions, or more positive emotions, and in that way, personally, I felt like I attracted more of a positive vibration to myself, or more divine vibrations to myself, when I raised myself to that level, as opposed to someone who might like some of the more selfish desires, negative thoughts, watching horror movies, things like that. I feel like those kinds of things maybe attract lower vibrations into your life, So personally, trying to raise my vibration holistically in every area of my life to attract higher vibrations. Another thing that I do and always have done since I met Diane was to, everywhere that I live, I make a place for the gods. I almost set up, like you do, Hercules, and like you, Michael Waterman there. It's Setnet, right? Setnet?
Setna, S-E-T-N-A.
Setna. Is to, everywhere I go, I set up my home, or I set up my space as a temple for the gods. It's almost like I set it up to invite them into my life and to actually live with me. So my home right now is a temple to Zeus and Hera, the local universe father and mother. I also have a chapel in one of my rooms that I've set up for Gabriel, Hephaestus, and Aphrodite, whom I believe are the bright and morning star, Gabriel, in the Urantia book, and his consort, the brilliant evening star. So I have the temple and I have the chapel. I try to keep it clean. I try to keep it holy and pure. Alex and I are, we're vegetarians. We're very pure. We're celibate. We're everything. So I feel like personally I'm raising my vibration, and I'm setting up a space. But then one thing I do with my affirmations and with my rest time, with my meditation, I got ahead of myself. With my meditation and my rest time is I do affirmations, like Setna was talking about. You put those thoughts out into the universe, whether it's for healing or prayer or what have you, and hopefully the divine will manifest that for you. And I was talking to a psychic when I went to California. I went to do a psychic reading. Really neat lady. Her name is Camille. And she reminded me that she reminded me to thank the gods, to thank the angels and the celestials beforehand when you ask for something to be manifested. So I thought that was a good reminder to thank. She says, don't necessarily say please, just say thank. And in that way you set up the situation to already have been in motion in the universe when you thank them ahead of time. So those are some things I do. And of course, one more thing really quickly is I always loved the books by Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. And I actually was in the choir at Dr. Schuler's church, the Crystal Cathedral. I was actually in the choir for about 1.5 years, because I'm a singer and everything. And we'd always hear his sermons on positivity and the power of positive thinking to manifest prosperity. It's that prosperity gospel or whatever they call it, where you put those positive thoughts out into the atmosphere and you become prosperous, whether it's health, finances, relationships, so on and so forth. So those are some things I've done in the past and that I'm doing right now. And I feel like they're working pretty well for me. I'm going to stick with it.
Good. Thank you so very much, Ammon.
Sure.
Michael Russi, we've had countless conversations on this. Care to share some of your wisdom?
Yes. Well, I think that he's absolutely right about vibration. I think that what enhances vibration is the dominant thought. So I think two go hand in hand. The challenge always is if it's something you're trying to manifest, something you're trying to create in your life, I think the challenge is maintaining that dominant thought as much as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And that it automatically raises your vibration. And none of us are perfect in this practice. We're going to have days when we fluctuate and perhaps we're not as confident as we need to be. But for me, the introduction came through Science of Mind, originally by Ernest Holmes. But moving further along on that, it was the Fillmores, Charles Fillmore and Emily, and their unity movement, which really brought me to the place I felt I needed to be. For me, Christian mysticism has been my influence. There have been many great New Thought teachers since the 18th and 19th century specifically. I have to tip my hat to Rhonda Byrne. Some in the traditional Christian arena have criticized her because she's so motivated and sure about what she teaches. She doesn't mention the Master Christ specifically, but I think what I like about her and admire about her is she's reopened our eyes to New Thought, to what it is, the umbrella of New Thought. I say the umbrella because it encompasses many teachers. But I tip my hat to Rhonda Byrne because she definitely opened everyone's eyes that the creative power is both within and without, whatever one may interpret that to be. Whether you want to use the term God, whether you want to use the term creative intelligence, there's something out there that is intelligent, that has all of the attributes that a human being possesses, and that we are expressions of. So people like Rhonda Byrne, I honor her. She's very sure and feels everything she says. She's very motivated. Also Ernest Holmes, Charles Fillmore, Emmett Fox, Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, Phineas Quimby, who makes some credit as the pioneer of all of this in the Americas, William Walker Atkinson, Mary Baker Eddy to an extent, although I don't I don't follow her specifically. Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, and you can go on and on and on. For me, the great master, the great teacher of a new thought and mind creation was Jesus Christ himself. Some attribute, I think it's between 37 and 41 miracles, and his quotations were endless in terms of what we can do with our mind and our thoughts. So for me, I mean, you don't have to be a Christian to recognize Jesus put a great emphasis on mind creation. And so for me, I always turn to him as one of my influences. So I think it's vibration, thought, the power of expectation, and the power of assumption, as taught by Neville Goodar. Walk around during the course of your day expecting good health, expecting prosperity. Get that feeling as though it's coming, it's on its way. As he often taught, look to the end result. Jesus taught it too. As he said, when you pray, believe you have already received, and it will be done unto you. Most traditional Christian denominations, they will exhort you to have faith, but they don't put an emphasis on just how powerful creative thought really is. So that's why I believe in New Thought. I believe in Christian mysticism, but I also am universal in my thinking. My mind is open to all beliefs and traditions that believe that the power of the mind can indeed create our reality.
Thank you very much, sir. Very well said. I will share a little bit about my experiences now. I grew up with New Thought without knowing that I grew up with New Thought. My father believed in it, and he didn't identify it. So it was just my father's different beliefs that I grew up with. And my father believed very firmly that what you had in your mind was a possibility that you can create as long as you didn't give up. So if you wanted to do something, you had the power inside of you to do it, just do it. And it might take a long time, might take a short time, but it will happen if you believe in it happening and allowing it to happen. And then later on, I got exposed to the writings of many of the people that Michael Del Russi shared. My spirituality is very Olympian and theosophical. So most of my teachers and their metaphors come from that milieu. And like Michael, as all of you know, I'm open to other ways of looking at the universe, and I'm not insistent that my way of seeing things is correct, just the way that I see things. And I'm sharing just like I enjoy other people sharing, and we learn together. I've learned that it works in my life. A yes that I get is when I want to do something and I have no idea how to do it, usually I buy a notebook. Right now, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and the medication I'm on is worked havoc with my eyes. I can't do this right now. I have to think of other ways of doing it, mostly through visualization. But I usually buy a notebook, a fresh notebook, and they're not expensive. They're get them from a dollar store, a pen or a few different color pens. And then what I do is I write what I want to do and how I would do it, anything that comes into my head. And I found that doing it that way, it takes around a year and a half for something to happen. And I'll give one example. I decided one day, in my infinite wisdom, that I wanted my own TV show. So I had no idea how to do that, and I didn't know anybody who could show me how to do that or tell me how to do that. So it was just something I decided I wanted. And I believed that I could do it. So everyone I shared my dream with told me, oh, you never went to acting school, or oh, you're not a journalist, or oh, you don't know anything about television, or you're not connected. And they told me I couldn't do it. So I thanked them very much for their thoughts, but I didn't give credence to the thoughts because I knew that I'd have one. So I started writing down like who I would have on my TV show, what my TV show would be about, what would I be wearing, anything that I could think of that gave reality to this TV show. I did that for like a year and a half, and nothing much happened during that year and a half, other than I had a very full notebook. And then one day, somebody called me about an article I'd written about star seeds. Star seeds, for those who don't know, are incarnate celestials or extraterrestrials, depending on how you want to look at it. So it was the first time I didn't get any reaction to something that I written, even though I thought I wrote it well, and I thought that it was an important subject, but nobody reacted to it. So I was surprised to get this telephone call, and it was somebody who had a show called Uniquely You Now, and she read it and she wanted to interview me on TV. So I said, sure. So I went down to the studio to basically be interviewed, and she was frantic. And I asked her what was wrong, and she said their co-star, her co-host, was scarfed up by a more famous talk show host, Jenny Jones.
Yeah.
So she didn't have somebody who could be a co-host. So she asked me if I could be her co-host. So she didn't ask me if I'd ever been a co-host or did I know how to be a co-host. But I was confident that I could do it. So I said, sure, I could do it. So I became, my first time on television, I became a co-host. So not a regular gig. And I was a co-host for around 6-7 months. And then we found out the station was being sold. So, okay, so all the hosts were called in and they were told whether they would be retained by this new station, which merged the UHF station in Manhattan with one up in Yonkers.
Mm-hmm.
So then they asked to speak with me. So I had no idea why they were on speak with me. I wasn't a host. It wasn't my show. I was a co-host. And because I could talk about around 50 different topics off the top of my head for a while, I became a fill-in guest. If somebody's guest didn't show up, I'd come. As long as I didn't need to do something with my son or for work, I was there. So I would be on a lot of different shows covering a lot of different topics. So when they told me that they liked what I was doing on the other shows, if they gave me a show, what would I do? So now remember, I had a year and a half worth of ideas that I've been writing in a notebook with no end in mind. So I told them some of the best ideas, and they loved it, and they gave me a show.
Cool.
So that's how
right.
the show was born, and now I was on TV. And then I had to figure out how to sell advertising, how to do all sorts of things. But that's another story for another day. But that's generally what I do. I start a notebook, and I just pretend it's real, and something always happens to make it real. I've shared my story about the $1 million, I believe, already.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember.
Okay, Ammon, did I share with you?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll quickly share it. Sometimes the universe says no, and that needs to be acknowledged too. Because I'm getting older, I was thinking when we lived in Pennsylvania that what I really wanted to do was buy a campground, like a Boy Scout camp or Girl Scout camp, an explorers camp or something, that had a main building and then had a lot of little cabins. And I wanted to make that a retirement home for metaphysicians, because most metaphysicians do not pursue the path of money. And when they retire, life becomes very challenging for them. So because they're metaphysicians, they can talk about metaphysics, which isn't worth much on the market unless you're a celebrity or somebody who does that, your teacher or something. So I wanted to have the house, the houses so people can live in, and then the main house so that we could do classes, and they could teach classes and make some extra money. So that's what I had in my mind. And I thought it was a great idea, and I priced different land to see how much it costs. I got a notebook and I wrote ideas. So I thought this was a great idea. And when I was ready and I was confident that this is what I wanted to do, I spoke to the universe and I said I forget how many millions of dollars I needed, but I needed millions of dollars, and I needed it, and this is what I was going to do. So the following day, millions of dollars started coming to me from everywhere. The thing is, it wasn't real money that I could
Oh dear. Yes.
It was $1 million bills with Obama's head on them, $1 million bills with the Statue of Liberty on them, $1 million bills with all other things. People gave me candy bars with $1 million wrappers. So I started getting millions of dollars every day, more millions of dollars than I knew what to do with. A stack of them are still on my altar after all these years. It was
It's
very
funny.
clear that the universe was not going to give me real millions of dollars, but it showed me something is listening and something responds quickly. And I knew that it was easier for it to get me real money because there's more of that around than to get me fake $1 million bills. Because I imagine they're not that easy to find. But it said no, so I wound up not doing that. I still think it's a great idea, and if the universe changes its mind, I'm still willing to do it. Uh, that's what I believed, and it started out as my father's strange ideas, and that's how I came to know this information.
Sounds like what I'm working on out here, and I'm going to ask for millions of dollars in American money.
And you might get it.
Please, American money. I'm working on a sanctuary for metaphysical peoples of all different races and creeds and such and beliefs. I do have one little limitation. We'll talk about that at another time, but I want to be able to have people to see how ritual is done so that they see that we don't eat babies and we're not dancing around with the devil, as it were. I want people to understand what metaphysical, I'll say pagan rituals are about, and that we are bringing energy out into the universe to help the earth and all around it besides, and to help not only humanity, but literally the universe, and first the galaxy and then the universe. I want people to be able to see that. I did put a GoFundMe out for that. Well, because it wasn't an emergency, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want to offend anybody, but because it wasn't an Abrahamic um, sect, I was ignored. As a pagan, I kind of was offended, but I realized that's what the mainstream is looking at. I am not saying that I am a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or even a Buddhist or a Hare Krishna. I'm an entirely different being, much more ancient than all of them, by the way. But that was ignored. So I'm putting it out there again. I'm saying that my temple is called Perniteru, which means the house of the gods. It doesn't say what kind of gods, it says the gods, or the house of the god, if you wish. And, you know, I'm only asking the universe to give us help so that we can have a physical sanctuary. And, little by little, it seems to be coming back into well, how shall I say, cognition into reality.
Good. May it come to pass. I was raised Greek Orthodox, which is an Abrahamic Christianity, and my family is still mostly Greek Orthodox. But I'm Greek. Being Greek somehow supersedes all of the things to the Greek.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, it was very clear that I wasn't resonant with the religion of the church. So my family say, "Oh, you're going to go to Olympus when you die," and they said, "It's okay, don't worry, we can visit because no gods are cruel enough to deny you the ability to visit your family." So I grew up with this idea that you can go to any heaven you want, and then you could visit, or you could communicate in some way, like some cosmic god phone or something, that you could talk to people who went to other heavens, and that it was okay. Just like people in Greece went to other cities or other countries, we can go to other afterlives. And so I didn't have that problem. Also, I don't know what it is, but I've always found that despite the fact that I'm openly not conventionally religious, but I am spiritual in my own way, nobody seems to take offense by the fact that, I guess you'd call pagan. I just say Olympian because that says it all, theosophical. Um, I used to bless my town during interfaith parades. Now that administration and a lot of the people involved in the Chamber of Commerce are gone, so they don't do that anymore. We had interfaith parades, and I was the Grand Master for many years. I opened and closed the public ceremony in the name of Mount Olympus, and I wrote an Olympian blessing upon everyone in the entire town. And in all the time there were some people who didn't like it that I heard about, but nobody made a big deal of it. It was just, it's Hercules. That's the way he is.
That's nice.
So part of my mission in life is to undo the curse of tongues. And this is from the Bible. It's a story of the Tower of Babel, where people decided they were going to reach the heavens, and that was nixed by the heavens, and they didn't come out and destroy the tower totally, but they took away people's ability to speak the same language. And people fought because they couldn't communicate. So I always saw that as a terrible thing. And not that I want to build a ziggurat to the stars, but all of my efforts have tried to get people who see the world differently and experience the world differently to work together. When the computer age had dawned and personal computers were becoming more affordable, and there were a lot of people who couldn't afford them, it was creating a new digital divide. And everything was being computerized, but if you didn't own a computer, you were screwed. So in downtown Brooklyn, and inspired by the myths of old and the Ray Harryhausen, Jason and the Argonauts, I went around and I started talking to people. And I found that people who worked in human services, a lot of them were burnt out because they had gotten into the field of helping people, and they weren't really helping people. They were enforcing regulations. And everybody had seen these movies, growing up, or had heard of these movies or the myths. So they wanted to be like Jason and the Argonauts, having a grand adventure and helping people along the way. So I talked to a lot of people without any money, without any program. One place of social service agency gave us a room we could use. Another one had computers that they were going to throw out because they were old computers and they bought new ones. So they were garbage effectively. So they gave them to me. Other people had some time and they knew computers and they were willing to donate a few hours a week to teaching people computers. So that's how we started. And eventually we had a computer program that people can come to for free and open up email accounts, learn how to use the computer basically, and stuff like that. So together we addressed it. And a local newspaper liked what we were doing, so they were following the adventures. And my wife, who's an artist, she made a comic strip. So we had our own comic strip. I had a TV show at the time, and we made a pilot for something called The Age of Heroes, because that's what we're calling what we're doing. And I had people who were religious, people who weren't religious, and from the religious people, we had devout Catholics, we had people who were Jewish, and they were very devout in their spirituality. We had Satanists. We had werewolves, we had vampires, we had occultists, we had pagans, we had a few Olympians, of course, and everyone was working. And the only rule was, because the problem was in conventional society, you couldn't dedicate your service to Artemis in a lot of places, or something, or whatever deity you worked with. So here they could dedicate it in the name of their deity and the deity's realms and so forth. And I would accept it because the purpose was to help people who needed computer skills in downtown Brooklyn. And the only rule was, what do you call it? If your God cannot play nice, then you can't be part of this. So
Yeah.
leave the wars in heaven to the wars in heaven. Leave the wars on earth between competing pantheons to the pantheons. Here, we're here to get computers for people who need to learn how to use computers. And that was successful. So that's a rule that I've kept in all my endeavors also. We're going to have pantheons that don't resonate, pantheons that don't agree. As long as they can play nice in what they're doing, they're more than welcome to share their point of view, and their service will be accepted and honored as such. So this new stuff we're going to be doing is set along the same lines. Comments, thoughts, ideas?
Yeah. I just wanted to say one thing. One of the three main tenets of theosophy is to undertake comparative religion studies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Along with creating a universal brotherhood, and uncovering the latent powers in man, and so on and so forth. Those three are the main ones. From the very, very beginning, because I grew up Methodist Christian, and I think I've told this story on one of the programs, that when I was 13 years old, I was in the Methodist church one Sunday with my parents, and I was listening to the minister give his sermon, and all of a sudden I got some kind of an insight or an epiphany that I would need to expand my knowledge outside of the Christian church. I would need to study a bunch of different spiritual traditions and things of that sort. So, a few years later, whether I manifested it consciously or not, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior came to me by Dan Millman. I've told that story a gajillion times. So that got me started into Zen Buddhism and meditation and Eastern philosophies and such. But, the book that I'm writing right now, guys, my book, The League of Azure Blue Angels, it kind of started as a scrapbook, started it in 2017, and it's kind of like a journal of sorts of kind of documenting my spiritual path and my wife's spiritual path and our spiritual path together. And with the book, I not only wanted, and I found that this kind of evolved as I was going along, I not only wanted to kind of tell my, give my autobiography and a little bit of Diane's autobiography, but I also wanted to use the book as a teaching tool to share the different types of philosophies, religions, and spiritual studies that we had done over the years. So I say, oh, okay, when Diane and I were doing this, we started studying this. And then I give some examples, like I give a little bit of background, the teachings and the doctrine and so on and so forth, and give some examples from some books. So I'm using that as kind of a teaching tool because Diane and I both, and I still do, have a really open mind, and we embrace a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things. And I started studying New Thought a little bit when I was singing, because I'm a professional singer and I've sung in many churches and done a lot of music ministry. I was a substitute at one of the Mary Baker Eddy churches. So I did a little background on that, and I found some really wonderful things, for health, for creating and healing, mental, psychological, physical health. So I'm definitely on board with that, Hercules, and guys, I'm definitely open to lots of different thoughts, lots of different approaches to God, the universe, the prima materia, the eternal essence, what have you. So I'm definitely on board with the Theosophia.
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
As you guys know, something I wrote got published recently by Llewellyn. I don't know where it is. Buried, I think. Let's see. Here. And it's Theurgy, 7 Approaches to Divine Connection. And let's see if it'll show.
Yes, it's perfect, Hercules. There you go.
Awesome. And that too came about through a process of manifestation. I wanted to review a book by Llewellyn. It was written by Brandy Williams. It was called For the Love of the Gods.
I know it.
It was about theurgy. So I called the publisher. I stated my intent. The publisher sent me a copy of the book, and then I liked what I read, so I asked if I could interview Brandy Williams. So that was quickly arranged, and so I interviewed Brandy Williams, and she had talked about a Theurgicon or Panthicon or some type of event that used to exist where Theurgists had a platform, but that it stopped functioning. So I suggested maybe we could do it here on the Blog Talk Radio. So then I interviewed some other Llewellyn Theurgists, and then I invited them all to this panel. And then the panel went on for like 5 years where we talked about different things. And then the idea popped up, why don't we write a book? So one of the theurgists, Jean-Louis de Biassi, wrote a proposal, proposed it to Llewellyn. He was already a Llewellyn author that sold many books on Masonry, Rosicrucianism, as well as theurgy. And he's the head of the Aurum Solus, which Carl West Llewellyn belonged to or headed for a while. So they said, okay. Then there was 2 years spent polishing what we'd submitted during the proposal. And the things we submitted were written and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. And then finally 2 years of doing that passed, and the book was ready for publication. We had to do a couple of final rereads and rewrites based on the suggestions. And then the book came out. And so that started as a bunch of ideas that people followed through on. And it came to pass. And my relationship with Tim Beckley and his survivors, that started the same. I grew up reading Tim Beckley. I met Tim Beckley at a couple of Fortean Society with John Keel in New York. Then I started reviewing his books and his movies. And then they saw that I could write well, so they asked me to submit to the books, and I started becoming an author. And I had always had a fantasy of being one of Tim Beckley's intrepid psychic investigators, where I go on adventures and then write about them and share them with people. So that was always a fantasy of mine. And here I was, the fantasy came true. And not only that, but they wrote a website and a magazine piece on how I quickly become one of the more prolific authors and one of their leading researchers. So the fantasy came with pluses and check marks and underlines and exclamation points. So again, that was a desire, and I never quite gave up on that. I had no idea how it happened. I didn't even plan or steer toward it like I did with the TV show, where I was very conscious of what I was doing and aware of opportunities. But my life brought me there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Hercules, can I say something really quick
Sure.
here? You know, you're talking about your TV show and your book and things. I wanted to tell you a story. I think I've told you this story before, but it was probably years ago. Diane and I, we got some information that Lord Maitreya was doing some work with the earth. In the Rancho book community, there's a little subculture called the Teaching Mission, and they're purported to have channelings from celestials, even Pleiadians, and so on and so forth. But they were calling this period, and they got ostracized and persecuted to a certain degree and kind of blackballed in certain ways. That this was a correcting time, that the celestials in our local universe were focusing on our Earth, our solar system too, but our Earth especially, in creating a correcting time where we bring our morals and our ethics up to the level of our technological advancement. So Diane and I received some information that one of these beings who was doing this correcting time was Lord Maitreya himself. And of course, in Maitreya Great Tao, Lord Maitreya is the fifth Buddha. He's the Buddha to come, who's going to be preparing the soil for a new golden age, an age of Aquarius, right? So we received information that Lord Maitreya was the same being as the being that we were reading about in the Rancho book, called a magisterial son. So we found out that Lord Maitreya was undertaking a program on the earth for this correcting time called Lord Maitreya's 50-year magisterial mission, right? So we said to ourselves, oh my gosh, this is huge. We got to tell everybody, right? We got to tell the Rancho people. We got to tell the world. So we were sitting at a movie theater, big movie theater out in California. We were sitting on the bench, and I said to Diane, I asked her, how are we going to get this out? We got to get it out. We got to get it out. She said, let's see. So she dangled, because she used the pendulum, TV show, publications, big billboards, so on and so forth. She said, what we need to do is we need to go on the radio. I said, okay, the radio. So one of the local stations, one of the college stations, what is it? She said, all I can get right now is a radio show, a radio program. Okay. This was in 2017, early 2017. And guess what happened in August of 2017? We were introduced to you, Hercules, by Nick.
Yes,
And
I remember.
lo and behold, we were on a radio show. Isn't
Well,
that fabulous?
yes, I'm glad that the path led to me, and I've been happy that you've been on it ever since. You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hercules. I think that was kind of a manifestation of sorts. You know, it was like we throw it out into the universe tells us, and we just kind of wait and see, and bam, there it is.
Thank you. That's a wonderful story, and thank you. And I'm very honored that
Yeah,
the path led to me.
I'm honored to be on with you, Hercules, and to be your friend. Thank you.
Same here. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, our conversation has to come to an end very soon. I guess, do you guys want to be the Order of Michael in this new theosophy? So, Ammon, what do you, yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Setna. Okay. Michael, what are,
We are the Order of Michael. It has been decided.
good. Okay. Okay. And Michael Russi.
I like it. I like it very much. I mean, there's so much knowledge to be shared with the audience here. So, yes, I think it's a privilege to be part of the Order of Michael. And between all of us, we can share infinite knowledge that people can use in their daily lives. So, yes, I'm excited about it.
And how about this? In our next episode, we'll discuss what that means to each of us. And that I'm looking forward to. Michael Deleuze will bring his Abrahamic perspective. Setna will bring his Egyptian Kemetic perspective. Ammon will bring his very vast knowledge of very many different perspectives, including the Urantia book. And I'll share the Greek perspective. And it'll all be the same order. But it'll be different ways of approaching it, and maybe we'll come to some understanding on the commonalities that we can't currently see. And an idea I had while I was speaking with everybody tonight, and everyone was speaking to everybody tonight, was how about if we make it a goal to have classes at some point?
I think
And
it's an excellent idea.
we can have the first few for free, and just to get the process up and rolling, and then we could charge people, and this way each of us can make a little bit of money to aim toward our grander schemes that are much bigger and require funds that we might not have right now. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yes.
Yes, I'm on board.
Absolutely.
Hercules, I wanted to add really quickly
Sure.
that, I do with kinetic energies, but let's not forget, I'm also hermetic, and I do work with Asclepius and Hermes Trismegistus as part of my worship and work.
Mhm.
So
Notice
that is my theosophistic link, I would say, is the Hermes Trismegistus for sure.
we will be talking about the topic of commonalities and crossovers. We started talking about it a few times, but we'll be addressing that. And yes, I know that, and I appreciate that about you. So how would people find you, oh Fauna Wizard?
Well, that is
Hermetic
one way.
is
That is certainly one way. You can get me on Facebook at Phone Wizard, which is where I offer my services. It's also on Instagram. You can get me at my temples. You can get me at Perniteru on Facebook or Perniteru on Instagram. That's PERNTJERU. It's a strange spelling, but it's how the hieroglyphs were done. You can get me on plain old Michael K. Waterman, which is my mortal self, as it were. You can call me if you want to, 516-650-3691. Or you can just email me if you're into email things, mkwaterman at iCloud, not iClown, iCloud.com.
Thank you very much, sir. Ammon, how can people reach you? And I can't wait till your book comes out. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It is so close. I have about, it's going to be about 400 plus pages.
Wow.
Yeah, it's taken me quite a while. Like I said, I started in 2017. I have about 100 pages more to refine. I've written everything. I've edited the first 300 or so. I've got about 100 left of refining and editing. So that should be out hopefully January, February. It's called The League of Azure Blue Angels. Um, so I'll give you guys all a copy for free and share that with you guys. And we have come on, bring it to me. YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Michael and Diane Dunkin. That's Michael and Diane with two N's. Dunkin, Dunkin. A lot of our artwork, songs, our Maitreya messages, and also a lot of our celestial team meetings that we had with the Romans. I mean, the Olympian gods, some Titans, and other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and such, and Jesus. So that's Michael and Diane Dunkin. And then I have 5 song albums and an EP on the downloading and streaming websites, Amazon, iTunes, so on and so forth. Just Google my name, Reverend Michael Dunkin, Dunkin, and those albums will pop up. Email is michaeldunkin1@hotmail.com.
Thank you very much, sir. And Michael
Yeah.
Russi, I've read your writings. How can people find your writings and how can they interact with you?
Well, we have a book of poetry called One Passion Beyond, which I believe opens up multiple levels of consciousness. Most of the poems deal with the invisible world, but we also deal with the concept of UFOs, our experiences here in our carnal existence. I'm very proud of it. I really do believe it opens up pathways to creativity. One Passion Beyond, it's available for a donation of $10 to Michael Russi, Box 135, Hazel Street, Apartment 7E in Clifton, New Jersey. The zip is 07011. We also deal, the time I was perhaps 17 years old, I'm 73 now, with cutting-edge holistic therapies, many of which even those in the holistic community are not fully committed to or knowledgeable of. We learn a lot of the latest breakthroughs from the Life Extension Institute. So we also deal with affirmative prayer legitimately and constructively and totally committed. You can write your prayer requests to the same address, and we pray for 30 days. Lay hands on the lists and the requests, because vibration and energy, as we know, does mean things. And I will pray over every prayer request, and I will write that person back free of charge for as long as it takes, hopefully, to see manifestation in that area.
Thank you, Michael. And
Yes.
that's a question I'll ask everybody in another show. How can people get in contact with you for prayer requests? And this way we'll make that available to people as well. Thank you all. I'm blessed to know you. I'm blessed to be in the same path with you. I wish you all the greatest success in all of your endeavors, both worldly and otherworldly. And if I don't get a chance to talk to you later this month, happy holidays and a happy and healthy new year.
Right.
Blessed
You guys have a
you
good
to all of you.
Blessings to everyone.
blessings. God bless you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.